You put that. मेरी एक
Thank you for joining us today, ma'am. So, how did you start feeding dogs? What was your inspiration behind feeding dogs?
Basically, I'm an animal lover. So I guess this started when we were very small, my brother and I, and it all began with our taking food out from the fridge and sneaking it out and feeding the strays on the street. So and then this sort of carried on, and I used to feed randomly when I was in college. But actual feeding and caring for dogs came when I got married and came to this colony in '78, and I probably started with one dog which used to sit outside our house, and that one became two, two became four, four became 10, and it just went on increasing. The number just went on increasing. And when I joined school, on my way to school in the morning, I used to feed the dogs. I used to go in the car and I started carrying food for them. So that is how, whole lot of them became my regulars. And
it's more than 300 today.
Yeah.
So, as a child, you were very compassionate towards feeding dogs.
I used to love animals actually. Any animal, it could be cats, it could be dogs, could be cows, could be anything, rabbits or anything.
Did you have any inspiration in the family? Like as a child, sometimes were inspired by people. Anybody in the family where you saw and where you learned the compassion towards
Not
animals?
really, but we've always had a dog. I think there was a dog in the family before I was born. And then we've always had pets. Even before I got married, and then after, when my children were born, they wanted a dog. So that is why. And dogs are the most are the easiest to love, and probably an animal which gives you more love than any other animal on the planet. I think you get so much from them.
Absolutely.
So much of positivity, so much of love, so much of so much of selfless love you get from them.
Because our channel focuses on mental health, and so I read somewhere online that parents also have, a very significant role in curbing child psychology, teaching them compassion. So, do you think your parents played a role in teaching you compassion?
I think so, because since we always had a dog in the house, my mother used to care for a cat, a stray cat. I remember we were very small. I was around 8 or 9 in the 3rd standard, I think, and she adopted a stray cat. So we had a dog and a stray cat in the house. And my mother, she's no longer with us now. She died about 3 years back. I remember till a couple of months before she died, she used to feed the monkeys. She used to open the window, and the monkeys used to come, and she used to make rotis for the monkeys and feed them every day.
Wow.
So, whenever they used to tell me कि तुम इतने कुत्तों को खाना दे रही हो, बंद करो, अब ये बहुत ज़्यादा हो गया है, it's telling on your health. So I used to tell her कि आप भी तो यही करते हो. So she would make rotis for them, and she would say कि अब मेरे monkeys आने वाले हैं, and regularly monkeys used to come. And they still do. She's not there, but whenever I visit my father, the monkeys are there. So, 1-2 roti unko de dete hain, but she used to do the same. So it was always there in the family.
Coming to the next question, ma'am, like we see these days, a lot of Indians, they want to adopt dogs or they want to buy dogs, but they are looking for particular breeds, especially foreign breeds. They are willing to pay an extra penny. But like you just told us about the stray cat that was in your house. So, what is your take on this particular concept where people are just looking for foreign breeds, and instead of having a dog, they want a class symbol or a status symbol?
Because it's actually a status symbol. I mean, you should be able to tell your friends you've kept a retriever or you've kept a lab or a German shepherd or whatever. But I think the Indies are the easiest to adopt, to keep in the house. They give you a lot of love. They are very hardy. They have survival abilities. And they are more hardy than the other dog.
Ma'am, have you faced any difficulties while feeding dogs?
Absolutely.
आपको लोगों ने परेशान किया है?
Initially, yes. Yes. A lot of people, I don't want to name them because they were known to me, and they really troubled me. Somebody said, हम आपके गाड़ी के शीशे तोड़ेंगे. Somebody said, हम आपको report करेंगे. And there was another lady I used to feed the dogs along with, and Manjeet, and we were threatened कि हम आपको shoot कर देंगे. Obviously nobody shoots us, nobody does that, but
ऐसा नहीं लगा कि ये मुझे छोड़ देना चाहिए?
No, not at all. Manjeet and I, then we said the next best thing is to go to the police station. We lodged a formal complaint. And the constable went to this gentleman's house, and I don't know what he told them or what he advised this family. But after that, we were not given any threats. Then a neighbor of mine was very disturbed because the dogs used to bark at night. Then he went to the police station, lodged a formal complaint against कि इनको बोलो कि इन dogs को यहाँ से हटा दें. I get disturbed. So for 1 week, a constable used to come to my house and advise me to stop feeding the dogs.
Right.
Either to stop feeding them or to remove them from there.
Right.
So what I did, I lodged a complaint against him. Right. That he is harassing me, he stops me in the middle of the road.
Absolutely.
And he troubles me. And I said, if he continues this way, I'm going to send a letter to his office.
Right. On this note, I want to tell our viewers that according to the Indian laws, it is illegal to relocate any dog on the streets. So that's the reason when I was asking you a question on what basis. Because if anybody is threatening you that I'm going to file a police complaint against you, then relocation of dogs is illegal.
And dogs are going to bark. That's the job. I mean, वो आपको भजन कीर्तन तो सुनाएगा नहीं रात को. It's going to bark. At this point, people are very appreciative of the fact, mainly because we tell them that the reason why we are feeding them is because we want the dogs to get friendly with us.
Right.
So we can get them picked up and get them sterilized.
So ma'am, do you think the government is supportive on this sterilization front?
The government does chip in as and when we have wanted their help, but since they have their hands full,
right.
So we've got to
there's a lot,
yes,
we have a very good population of Indian street dogs.
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure they have to go every corner and sterilize.
Absolutely. So we have to fall back on private sterilizations also.
What is the cost of one private sterilization on an average?
Around 2,000.
2,000.
Approximately.
And feeding 300 dogs almost every day, and sometimes twice a day. I mean, is it twice a day every day?
No, once a day.
Once a day. So ma'am, what is your daily routine like? How many hours does it take for the feeding, for the preparation every day?
I get up at 4:30 in the morning to make the food, leave 4:30 wow. And leave home at around 6:30. And about 2 hours preparation time, and I return back by 11:30. Any
Wow.
time
So
between
5
11
hours
11:30, and then about an hour in the evening. There are a few dogs that I feed in the evening.
So whatever.
So about
whichever ones are
7,
left.
you can say around 7.5 hours a day goes for this.
So, ma'am, a lot of our viewers, I'm sure they will be inspired by your story. So, for a beginner, what advice do you have for a beginner if someone wants to start feeding dogs? And if they are under budget constraints or under, some economic conditions, how can they start feeding dogs?
Start with one dog. Start with the dog closest to your house so that it's easy for you to feed, and start with just plain milk. And then you can add bread, you can add roti, whatever the dogs. All dogs don't eat roti with milk.
Right.
So you can give bread and milk. Try not to give them eggs or non-veg initially, because if you do that, then you will have to continue giving them that.
Absolutely.
So
because if someone's under economic constraints, keeping that in mind.
start with one, then gradually you will probably find a couple of more dogs. And you don't have to go around feeding 100 dogs or 50 dogs or anything like that. Even compassion towards one animal is good enough.
So, dogs have their medical requirements. Are your dogs vaccinated?
All of them. All of them are vaccinated and neutered. And that is the reason why the neighborhood has become more friendly towards me, because they understand now we are doing a social service.
Right, absolutely.
By getting them neutered.
Ma'am, I was very inquisitive to ask you this question. What was the funniest experience you've had, or someone said something to you while you were feeding dogs?
Somebody asked me once whether I was asked by an astrologer to feed black dogs or to feed dogs. कि आपको किसी ज्योतिष ने बोला है कि भी आप dogs को बोलो, पंडित ने बोला है. And then somebody wanted to know कि which NGO is funding me.
Oh, wow.
So I said, yes, I'm being funded by an NGO. So this gentleman asked me which NGO. So I said, वो ऊपर वाला NGO.
Wow.
मैंने कहा मेरा सबसे बड़ा NGO वो है.
Ma'am, I think dogs can really touch your life and they can really influence you. I mean, I have a lot of memories, tons of memories with my dogs, and they are just 10, 11, and again. But with you, it's a large number. What are a few touching moments that you can never forget?
I must tell you about this dog. He's still around, of course. I call him Hachiko. I mean, if you remember the story about Hachiko, the dog.
Even though I cried terribly.
I love that movie.
I was in school when that movie came, and I could not stop crying because at that point in time, one of my dogs had passed away, the street dog. She was 13.
One of the loveliest movies I've seen.
Absolutely.
So this dog discovered me at the red light near Gangaram, near the Gangaram Road.
So he came to your car?
No, he probably could smell the, other dogs on the car. So he started clambering up onto the window.
Right.
So I rolled down the window and I started patting him. So he probably took to me or something. So this happened again. This happened every day for 4 or 5 days. Then it happened that this fellow used to sit on the divider every morning at 9 o'clock, because I used to be returning by 9:15 after my round of feeding the dogs. And I used to see Hachiko sitting there on the divider in the middle of the traffic going from this way and traffic going this way, and he would be sitting over there and he would see my car from almost 50 to 100 yards away, and the moment he could see the car, he would go crazy.
Wow.
And it was quite a sight, and I would cross the road in my car, and he would follow my car along with he would follow my car, cross the road. So I started calling him Hachiko, and he's still around, thank God. It's been almost 5 years now, 5 to 6 years.
So ma'am, I think a lot of people want to feed dogs, but many of them are scared. So how do they deal with their own fear? What is your take on it?
If you actually, the dogs can sense whether you love them or you don't love them, or whether you're compassionate towards them or not. They can make out. And if you start feeding them once, they're going to become your friend for life. I feel that.
So ma'am, you've been feeding dogs for so many years, and now the number has grown exponentially. do you expect anything in return?
Nothing. But they're giving, even without my asking them, they're giving me so much of positivity. They radiate such positive vibes. They are stress busters. They have such a calming effect on you. You just have to look into their eyes to know how much they love you. And they are friends for life. Just feeding them, caring for them, or even trying not to hurt them. Even if you can't feed them, please don't hurt them.
So, ma'am, on that note, I would like to end this interview. Do you have any piece of advice for our viewers?
There is no virtue greater than compassion. In fact, kindness and compassion is next to godliness. They say cleanliness is next to godliness. For me, there is no virtue, no religion greater than compassion.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us today, ma'am. I was thrilled to have you. I mean, I look up to you. Staying in the same area, for so many years, I've seen you feeding, and it was a privilege to have you.
Thank you, Divyam. Thank you.
If you like my videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.